First, does the population boom in England and Wales show that migration is out of control? 02078622222 is the number. It's been announced that last year we saw the second largest jump in our population since at least 1949. So I'll just show you. I'll take you back, actually, to the years of the British Empire. I found this really interesting map here going way back from when Britannia ruled the world and the waves, I guess. So let's have a look at our tiny island. Just zoom in. Here we are, OK? And the figure for population in this year, 36,299,000 in 1886, 36.2 million. And that, by the way, that's the whole of Scotland, Wales, England, OK? June 2024, this is England and Wales now. We're talking about the year up to that month. In the year up to June 24, it goes from 61.12, ready, 61.8. It's not quite double, but it's a massive increase on, 100, 150 years ago. So it's grown by more than 700,000 in 1 year. That's the second largest increase in over 75 years. And it's not caused by us Brits having babies. That's not the reason it's happening. It's because of migration, because the difference between births and deaths is very small. And yes, 61.8 million, the second largest numerical jump since at least 1949. And it was actually 12 months ago that we had the largest numerical jump. So all the big changes are recent. Let's just have a look at the graph and see. There's very few years since the war where the population goes down. 1980 is one. But look at that. The jump this year and last year is absolutely massive. And if you're asking why the jump, births minus deaths comes to virtually nothing. It's all 98% international migration. By the way, much of it legal and permissioned. 690,000 people coming in net, and the overall population increase just over 700,000. So we've allowed it. This isn't a small boats thing. That's a very tiny part of it. We're not having our own babies. We need people from somewhere, Mike, I guess. What do you think?
We do need people, and we're a very welcoming country. And in certain areas, we should be selective and welcome people to come to the country to contribute to the economy. The problem is, it's now completely out of control. The country is literally going bankrupt trying to cope with the immigration problem. I call it illegal immigration. People are not allowed to break into our country, but they are breaking into our country. I'm not just blaming the present government. My view is that Boris Johnson had an awful lot to do with this. The number of people, number of migrants landing here trebled during 1 year of his prime ministership, OK? The Tories did nothing about it, but it's now completely out of control. The Office of Budget Responsibility itself, favoured by the government, has produced figures saying that over the course of a lifetime, a migrant who comes to this country illegally could cost up to £500 million individually.
Half a billion?
Half a billion. 400...
That's ridiculous.
I beg your pardon.
400,000.
465,000.
OK, half a million.
£465,000 by the time they reach 81.
Mary, you don't agree?
No, I don't. And the most important thing to say here, and it's really important for all of us, is to recognise that migration is totally different from immigration. OK? And immigration doesn't necessarily mean illegal. So just very quickly, migration is people moving between countries or within countries or across borders. Immigration refers to people coming to a country in order to settle there permanently. So we're talking about very different things. We're talking about migratory... People arriving, OK? Yeah. And as you say, a lot of them legally. Yeah. And also, can I just say that of the 61.8 million people that we now have, in that increase of 700,000 people in a year, only 15%, which represents a 1% population increase overall in England and Wales.
Which is a lot, yeah.
It is a lot, but of that 1%, only 15% were asylum seekers, so only
15 is a lot.
Only 15% of 1%, so that's only 0.015% of the increase is asylum seekers.
The small boats might
not illegal migrants, but asylum seekers.
Might be 60, 70,000 in a year. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a lot.
Of course it's a hell of a lot.
Are we full? That's the question, Mary. Are we full? as a country?
Well, we're not full, clearly, because people can still come. And the answer is this, listen.
Of course we're full. For goodness sake, we haven't got any housing.
No,
There's no housing for people in this country,
it's
let
really,
alone immigrants.
but it's really important, if we're talking about this issue, not to dump the blame on asylum seekers.
I'm not dumping the blame. I'm saying that it's out of control. Societally, it's out of control. Why do you think people are queuing up with banners in places like Epping? Because they're frightened of the damage that people coming to our country are doing
But
to their
listen,
communities.
Mike, you're a well-travelled person. I'm lucky enough to be so. The world is in chaos. The world is in difficulty. Listen, I know of someone who, from Syria, who sent their child over here, aged 7, because they actually thought the child would be safer, and that child was tipped out of a lorry, things went wrong, and taken up, luckily, by a refugee charity with no language, no people, no nothing. In Britain.
But then if you apply that principle, how many millions of Syrians would you open the door to?
But what I want to say is, we have to start thinking why people are doing this. They're not doing it for fun.
Because
they're desperate.
They get a good deal in this country.
No, they're desperate.
900 people came here yesterday, young men. All those. Do you think all those young men are contributing to our economy? Or do you think they're coming here because this government entices them, it recruits them with all sorts of benefits? They get housing, 3 meals a day, the NHS, dental treatment, free phones.
No, a lot of them.
They come here.
Let Mary come in.
A lot of them get banged up in detention centres. And
where?
They do.
Where?
You know they do.
I don't. There aren't any detention
can I just
centres.
say?
OK, go on.
Could I just say, I'd just like people to take a moment to imagine what it must be like to be in peril in your country, to be at risk of, starvation or murder often. Sorry?
In France? Because that's where most of the boat migrants come from.
Well, people get to France. I know of a refugee who travelled from Afghanistan and got to Italy and has stayed in Italy. But the point is, people do it because they're desperate. Understood. They don't do it for fun. And if your child was tipped out into the middle of Damascus, age 7, with no language, no people,
Very few children are on these boats, Mary. You know that. You've seen the pictures yourself. They're young men taking advantage of our massive generosity
Bear in
from a
mind,
government who wants to change
of
us.
So we've talked about this. We're nearly 62 million. Most of the migration in the last year, almost record-breaking year, most of it wasn't the boats, just to say that. It's mostly people coming because the government has permissioned them. And is it a bad thing? Then maybe the government can't control it anyway. Jean in Dorset, hello.
Good morning, everyone. Well, this is a first. The first time ever I have agreed with Mike.
Wow. OK, so we'll get some confetti out later for that. Tell us why you've agreed with him, though.
Because everything he has said is spot on. The thing is, 900 of, I'm talking illegal, equals unlawful immigration. 900 yesterday, with reinforcements being brought in to deal with the stack of boats in the channel. The unacceptable has become the norm. And there is totally no willingness, particularly on the part of this government, to deal with it.
And do you think this will end up with a reform government led by Nigel Farage?
Well, it pains me to say it, but I hope so.
But Mary says we should be more understanding, Jean.
Understanding to people who are fleeing for their lives from the safety of a country like France. I'm sorry, she doesn't know what she's talking about.
She does. Yeah. She does. I do know what I'm talking about. They're not people. I'm not talking about people coming from France. Often people have got to France from the Far East, the Middle East. I'm talking about people coming from countries where they're in danger. And if you took the trouble yourself... If you took the trouble to talk to some of these people, ask them questions, find out their stories, you'd know that.
Jean, Jean, come in.
What is wrong with staying in France, can I ask?
Yeah, it's a good question, because President Macron of France, said when he was here, the problem with England is it's got too good a pull factor. Macron actually identified the fact that those people leave France.
Let's let Mary answer. Just what is wrong with people staying in France?
Well, I think it's very difficult for refugees and asylum seekers staying in France as well, and France doesn't make it easy for them either. So don't for a second think
we
that
make
France...
it too easy.
Right. I wouldn't say so.
Okay.
We do.
All right, we're talking just obviously again. Bear in mind, it's not just the boats. A lot of this is permissioned. And so the government has said, OK, we're allowing you to come in on this or that basis.
There are students, there are people coming over here to
exactly.
work.
And it's whether we're full,
and students are bringing in a lot of money. For overseas students contribute massively to the revenue over here.
Yeah, well, something wrong. Yeah, students bringing their families in as well, possibly. We don't know. Jean, thank you very much. After the break, more calls on this. Lots of people ringing us. Does the second largest population increase in over 75 years ring alarm bells all over the place? 0207 862 2222 is the number you need. But first, let's take some more calls on the population boom. This is England and Wales. There's now an estimated 61.8 million people living here because there was a 700,000 person increase from mid-2023 to mid-2024. Pretty much all of that was because of people from overseas coming to the UK with permission. But, of course, we got hung up, as we always do, on the small boats. 0207 862 2222. Jeff in East Sussex, is this going wrong for us?
Yes, absolutely going wrong. Good morning to you. Well done, Colin the Seagull. Now, the thing is this. I can't believe that such a high number of people are coming over in such a short space of time can be good for this country. And the other thing, of course, is we are not able to qualify should they be here or not. And is it the right sort of person that should come and help us in this country? We've got a mixture of all sorts of unknowns.
What about if we need jobs done, if we need culinary or clean, I hate to say cleaning, but you know what I mean, fruit picking, low-skilled jobs, and it seems Brits are now unable to hear alarm clocks. They can't get up for those jobs.
I don't think that's a suitable comment for the issue at hand.
But we are no good at doing menial jobs in Britain.
We've got to protect our borders first and foremost, and we've got to. That argument is fair up to a point, but not when it comes to protecting our borders. And I don't see why we cannot have patrols in the Channel who can pick up these boats bringing these migrants across, which are obviously unsafe. Pick them up as being unsafe, take them back to the nearest landfall, which would be France, and then unload them. And that message would soon get back to, the people that are organising this.
What are the French going to do? The French won't allow us to do that.
Well, we've got to get hard with the French. We pay them enough money. What I would do is, Jeff, I would have a boat at Dover, a really big boat, like a liner, and it would say migrant return boat on it. And the minute they got off and stepped on British soil, they go round the corner, get on the migrant return boat, and we take them back to France.
No,
okay. What's wrong with that?
Mary?
That is just horrible when you know why so many people are on those boats in the first place.
Because they're looking for a better life. We don't know where they come from. They don't speak English.
Do you know what? But a lot of them do for a start. And also, those who don't... I'm staggered by what Jeff has said and what you're saying. This idea, Jeff, that, we don't know who's coming in, what types of people they are. Look at us in this country. Are we so great? We're mixed. Okay. People are mixed everywhere.
Let's go. Simon in Essex. Hi. Simon, what do you think? Are we full?
Yeah, I feel... Thanks, Jeremy, and thanks, Colin the Seagull. Nice to be able to today with Michael. I just feel it's gone on too long, and I agree. Bring children over, but all these adults on the boats, and Mike's right, it has gone on too far, and you've got someone like Trump, he says, I'm going to do that, he does it, and then Starmer, I'm going to do this, he doesn't do anything for the country. But these boats are just...
But most of these people have come in because they're students or they're working or they've got a kind of a permit to come in and work in an Indian restaurant or they're whatever it is,
I agree.
Still too many, you think?
I don't believe, and Mike's probably right with me on this, they don't get checked thoroughly.
No.
But they do. If you look at the Home Office statistics, they do.
Can I just point out that when people say, oh, don't worry, the people on boats, there's only a small proportion of it, all the others you're talking about, students and doctors, NHS services, they come to this country and they have somewhere to live and they have a job to come to. The problem is when people get off boats, they are immediately given literally hundreds of thousands of pounds during their lifetime to be in Britain, and we cannot afford it anymore. We cannot afford it.
You don't agree? You don't think it's right?
No. I'd like to have you back that up with some stats, because it's not true.
I just did. I told you the OBR say £480,000 during their lifetime, and there's no return to the economy.
Well, you've got to know what that's made up of.
The economy.
Thank you. Martha in County Down, hello.
Hello.
Do you think we're full?
Hello, Jeremy. Absolutely. there is. I don't understand why this is being allowed to continue.
Well, tell Mary,
I mean-
because Mary really feels we need more compassion here.
Well, I think we couldn't give them any more compassion than what we're already giving them.
I agree.
I mean, they get into 4-star hotels. Of course they're going to come here. Why would they not? If they were genuine asylum seekers, they would ask for asylum in one of the European countries that they come to.
Mary.
95%
that
of...
tells me,
Sorry,
that
Martha.
tells me they're not, excuse me, that tells me they're not genuine asylum seekers.
Go, let
Right,
Mary come in.
Martha,
Martha and Mary.
let me tell you that from the Home Office statistics of the total detected irregular arrivals, so we're talking about boats,
yeah.
trains, people
Yeah.
hiding in cargoes in planes, 95% of those people are asylum seekers. They're not coming in. They're not coming in to take the mick. They're coming because they're trying to get away from war.
What about that, Martha?
But they're already away from war in France.
Well,
To
but
me-
France
to
feels
me,
the same as we
because
do. I like the way
Sorry,
everybody
can I-
says, well, France is great for them.
France
It's not.
doesn't feel the same way as we do. France doesn't put them up in 4-star hotels.
But we don't
France-
either. We put them
Yes.
up in horrible places.
Oh, like the Britannia Hotel, 4-star, Canary Wharf, and we've got homeless people in the streets in Canary Wharf who can't even get a council
Yeah,
house.
we've got big
because
problems.
half of the council houses in London are occupied by people who were born in a foreign land.
Is
It's
that
a
right?
ridiculous.
I didn't know that. Martha, thank you so
statistic.
much. Jeff in Doncaster, what do you think? Are we full?
Definitely. I don't agree with the lady at all. Colin's correct what he's saying. It's affects. I'm disabled myself, and I'm having problems getting a doctor's appointment, let alone anything else. So
Is that caused by
tremendous.
migration, do you think?
I certainly think it is. We're full up. We can't take any more. I mean,
There are other
there's
countries
pensioners-
with higher densities. I mean,
Yeah, there are.
Japan is one, for example. I don't know.
Also, if you put all the people, all the migrants, not the people seeking asylum, but all the migrants, you know, over 90% of whom are legally coming in with permits, if you put them... The amount, 700,000, if you put them into London and Cardiff and spread them out, obviously London's bigger than Cardiff, they would increase those cities' populations combined by just 0.09%, and then they wouldn't be anywhere else. Or they take, or they
And if you
make
spread
up...
them into the Shetlands, and it'd be even less. You can't dissipate it like that.
I live in
Most people want to live in the southeast of England and in London. That's the big
There
problem.
are migrants
No,
and there are
they're
immigrants
migrants.
all over the UK. And they don't all want to live in the southeast in London.
Jeff, do you see people who've arrived recently in this country in Doncaster, where you live?
Yeah, I've seen cab drivers who don't know where they're going, and so many of them, and they don't even know what they're doing half the time. And whether they've got licences, I don't know. But
Jeff, we're complacent
I
if
agree
we think this couldn't happen to us in this country. The world is in a perilous state.
What couldn't happen?
The world may well turn on its axis, and we may one day be the refugees, the asylum seekers.
We will be if we keep spending money at the rate we are. I mean, look at this figure here. £1 billion a month in universal credit is being claimed by households containing at least one foreign national. We're giving money
£1
away
billion
to
a
people
month.
who are coming
Okay.
here.
All right, Jeff, thank you. Val in the West Midlands, hello. Last call on this.
Good morning. I couldn't agree with Mike any more than that. I mean, we've got a problem with students who are coming in. They speak no English, hardly any English. How on earth are they going to do the course?
Well, you've got to hope that they learn English and they do the course, but you think they are putting it on, do you?
They are putting it on. We don't know how they've got through the legal process to come here as a student. And the first thing on their mind is to find somebody, have a child to strengthen their case or appeal to stay here.
Val, sorry, Val, this is rubbish. No, the way they get in is because universities and colleges charge an enormous amount of money to overseas students to come and do courses here. They're sought after. Our universities, our colleges are seeking overseas students in order to fund things. And when they do come and their English is not as good as it might need to be for work, there are dedicated people now who work in universities and colleges to help people with the language.
All right. Listen,